This
Now
Finish
take your
conference
time.
will
There are other
now be
people that have
recorded.
questions. Other people got questions too, so that's fine.
Sure.
I've got
No,
a couple of them.
well, since you're ready to fire them, go
And
for it.
Brian's just sitting back going, "Oh, this is gonna be easy today."
Yeah, I hope so.
You don't have to think about it.
I,
Make up stuff, huh?
that's good for me.
Okay, on the water cooler, on the 35. It's a CW 500, but what's the difference between the DG, DI, and DK? I came across all those numbers when I was looking up specs on them, although they're the same
Uh,
amperage.
yeah,
Just curious.
I believe some of it is the refrigerant capacity or the cooling capacity of the refrigerated part of it, and some of it is how much water it pumps because you can get these with different size pumps in them, a 30 watt or a 50 watt pump. Um, and I think those are some of the differences. I found a document somewhere. I don't know if we have it in our stuff um,
I mean,
on the model.
I found the amperages. The amperages are all the same for that. For figuring 100 volts, it's
Hmm.
3.5 to 5.6 amps, and for the DG, the DI, and the DK. So I was just curious which one comes with the machine. I guess I could ask the
Yeah, I
dealer.
think the DG,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I think I've got that somewhere in here. I just got to
Mine's
find the right.
sitting behind me. I can look.
See if it's a DG. I think that's what we send. I've
I
got a
could
diagram somewhere.
maybe a couple of machines take the 500 as a different model for each one of the machines. I don't know.
The,
I'm just
yeah,
curious.
the 130 watt machines get a CW 5200.
Right, that's a bigger one.
So yeah, and the
That,
rest of them get a CW 5000, with the exception of the Mini 60. It gets a 3000. That's a passive radiator. It doesn't have active chilling.
It's DG.
It's a
that
DG.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the sheet I was looking at. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one I'm trying to pull up. I've got a electronic copy of that somewhere. I
Yeah,
think
you
it's
might have
in the
pulled it up.
manual.
It's Thunder Laser main power requirements. That's the one I got a couple questions on.
Okay.
I need new bifocals.
So you say it's a DG? Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I had a hard time trying to read it because my bifocal ran out. I couldn't get my head to tip no more.
Okay, on the electrical requirements, other places I read it says it needs a dedicated 20 amp circuit. So
Hmm.
that's fine, but it's interesting. In that power consumption chart, it says it needs 27.51 amps.
That was all derived from Chinese data, and they
Okay,
don't have 110, they have 220, so some of that may not be exact. I'll put it
what
to
was
you
it?
this, we've never had one of these machines that, on a dedicated 20 not be able to be powered by that dedicated
Okay,
circuit.
okay. Yeah, I just saw that. It's just talking about 103 amps voltage or 103 volts, which we get a little bit more than we just get 100,
Yeah, we've
110,
seen
118.
a couple of comments about that maybe not exactly jiving. Um, but at the end of the day, I mean, we could
That's fine.
probably do some tests, yeah, but some of theirs is not. Now, I'm going
Nobody's
back.
com- nobody's
Okay,
complaining. That's all. I was just curious
sure.
because it contradicted it.
Yeah, some of the data in there is a little weird, and a lot of this I've taken parts from their data, and a lot of it I've compiled on my own. So you across all of these rabbit holes, you may see some differences in places
Okay.
too.
Yeah, the other thing on that is worst case. So you have to have everything running at the highest current. So the laser supply, the fan, the air, the pump, everything running at its full load current to even get anywhere near that. I run a 51 130, right? And even cutting 3/4 inch plywood at high settings, you ain't going anywhere near that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just
You'd have to have
curious.
the everything
It's
would have to
very conservative.
everything would have to surge at the exact same time on literally perfect scenarios set up with everything starting and pulling amperage.
Yep.
In this scenario, that happening is remote.
And then,
Slim.
and then the other thing is too is your home style breakers, right? Don't have electronic trip units in them, so they're thermal, which means you have to have a time element there as well, so that the current flowing through that breaker equals a certain amount of heat that causes the breaker to open, so that doesn't happen instantly, right?
Right, right.
So you would
Understood.
have to have a very high surge, like a short circuit to even trip it, or else you would have to, be marginally over that for an amount of time.
All right. Thanks a lot. The next question, we're on the power thing still. So everything plugs into the back of the unit,
Hmm.
correct?
Correct.
The air pump, the blower, and the water pump.
Correct. Yeah,
If
the
you,
chiller,
if,
the exhaust fan, and the stock air pump
right.
are
So,
all plug into the machine so they can be controlled by the TL timer and the rest of the systems.
okay. And if you do with an external air, set up, the machine will control the air when you hook it up that way.
Absolutely. The external air compressor can run autonomously as it normally would on its own circuit, whichever one you provide. All you have to do is get that air to the machine, and the machine handles it from that point on.
Yeah, the
Okay.
machine will switch the solenoids on and off, but
Okay.
your
Okay.
air compressor will run into its pressure setting and switch
All
off.
right. That answers that question. Now, a couple people have talked about going to the AC Infinity fans
Hmm.
because the fan you got's pretty noisy. I understand.
On
Um,
the 35s and up, they are. Let me
yeah,
see if
we're in
I
the
can.
35 bracket, so
Okay, so yeah, those green centrifugal fans are a little noisy. They're very effective. They work just fine, So an operational standpoint, it's not really that. Um,
it was AC Infinity seems to be what most people get on the side. AC Infinity fans.
yeah, there we
Yep.
go.
Yeah, I put an 8 on mine. It's quieter and is more efficient.
You put
Yeah,
an 8 or a 6.
I had an 8.
I have a 6 on mine, and I would probably go with an 8 next time if I had the choice. The 6 is fine. What you got to remember also about these inline axial fans is they have usually like
Slow
24
pickup.
volt DC motors in them. So spooling up, it takes quite a bit longer for them to spool up and actually move the air that they're ready to move. And of course, all that depends on how it's plumbed as well.
Okay, so you came out of your machine with a 6, went to the 8-inch fan, and then 8-inch out. Everything else.
Immediately. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
I'm
The,
Thank
going
you.
from an 8.
the other thing too, John, is they are variable speed. So you can get a bigger one and run it at a lesser setting, so it's going to be even quieter and move less than rated CFM. But you can't make that 6 pull more air, right? So you can
Yeah,
you can oversize it and run it a little bit less, and it's actually a lot quieter.
Yeah, the stock ones are pretty much plug and go. They don't have that variable speed to them.
okay, there is a plug cord for plugging an external fan in. Did you actually plug your external fan into your machine, or you control it
No,
down?
mine's because
There,
I'm literally
there's an
probably
adapter.
I'm
Yeah, I know.
12 I'm probably 12 feet away and my fan's close to the wall. So I just went out the wall close to an outlet and it's on its own thing. But to turn the fan on, you basically have a little remote that's got a long cord on it. And I just have it sitting right up by the board. So before I hit start, I hit the little black remote.
Yeah,
Could you just plug it into the unit to turn it on?
you
Yeah,
But
you
then
can.
you'd have to have your fan closer to the unit than to the wall, like in my setup,
well,
where
there's
it's
extensions.
impractical.
Yeah, you could get an extension for that. But yes, you can make the aftermarket fan integrate with the machine so that the machine will control it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The one I'll say drawback to that, right? So is if you do that, right? So what you can do is you can disconnect the variable speed connector or the remote, right? So and then the fan when you turn it on will run full speed, right? But when the TL timer switches the fan on is when it starts the job. So the spool up time of that fan, which could be 10 seconds, you're going to start to fill your laser with smoke in that first 10 seconds, and then it's
So,
going to catch up.
so
So
everybody's
that,
thinking that you should control your fan by itself for that type of fan?
Yeah, literally,
what I do, what I
literally what
do
mine is,
is, okay.
and mine's like right there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the remote, and I just hit that before I hit the start button, and I let it spool up. And it's just simpler that way for me, because it's just hit that button and then go.
Yeah, for people that run a lot of stuff, see, I have mine controlled by the machine, but I do very little with my lasers. But somebody that's running stuff all day long, they just run the fan. It's so quiet, it doesn't matter if you leave it running, while you set up for another job.
Yeah, I
So,
can turn my
and then
fan
just
on
turn it
right
off when you're
now.
done.
So
I can
mine is running, and I have a 12.
Yeah.
I will turn mine on right now full.
What are
Let it
you doing,
spool up.
Jeremy? You got the switch on the thing too?
Yeah, so I have my switch like double-sided taped right to the side of the unit next to the Ruida controller, And what I do is, when I go in and frame, so I'll go set my focus and stuff. Whenever I'm there, I'll cut the fan on and then send it from there. Right? But
Yeah,
yeah, normally once I cut it on, you leave it on for the duration of the time you're running the laser.
Yeah, my fan's running right now. Can you hear it? I just turned it on.
No, it's not discernible.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can hear you.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
I have my switch right by my light switch and computer, so that way I don't forget to turn it on.
Okay, that answered that one. Thanks. Next one, computer hookup. I was looking at a couple things. Do most people use an Ethernet cable? Or I saw there's a USB stick you can put in too, and just have it come across by USB. Thoughts?
Ethernet will be the most reliable.
Yeah, I run Ethernet. And
Ethernet.
Do you actually need the computer next to the machine?
No.
technically, you could run it with a router through wireless through Ethernet from anywhere in the world. But you want to at least be in the same room with it.
And you can run the laser untethered by using a thumb drive if that's what you're after. You don't have to have the computer connected to the laser at all to run it.
Well, where my computer is that I do all my CAD and all my other stuff in is like on the other side of the wall where the machine's going to be. So I could run an Ethernet right through the wall. So it's only a 6-foot run
Sure.
versus buying another computer. And that's sort of what I'm trying
Sure.
Well,
to
you need to have Ethernet. You just have to have an Ethernet cord to your laser, and then have your wireless hooked up to the same exact Wi-Fi, and then you like my laptop. Sometimes I'm back in the bedroom, and that's 300 feet from here. And then I'll just send the file out to here, and then I just walk out here and hit the start button.
Okay, yeah, that's my question. Do people feel that you need to actually have the computer right there next to the unit?
Well, it depends on what you're doing.
So, that's what I was going to say.
If you're doing one-offs and you got 10 different cups to make and some ornaments and this and that and the other, you're not going to want to have to go back and forth so much.
Yeah, that's a pain in the butt.
Change something, or you misspelled something or forgot a period, or you need to move it over some, or all of this stuff that can happen.
Well, and the other thing is Lightburn is so useful for a lot of the features in terms of framing and and using a lot of moving your graphics around, optimize your material, and looking at your when you're doing layout with the camera for the overlay. I wouldn't even consider having it in a different room. I mean, I do a lot from the controller itself, directly from the Ruida, especially after. Like, I batched out 50 cups the other day. The first one I got all positioned, and then I run, the other 49 from the controller after I did the first one. But I wouldn't even consider doing it, directly from the controller without a computer next to it.
Yeah,
All right, thanks. Yeah, I'm a one-off kind of guy most of the time. So
well, it is a pain though. Like if you're doing a one-off and you have your laptop at the other end of the house, and it's running out here one day, and I'm like, finally, I said, screw it, because I was really running myself to death. And so I just brought the laptop back out to the shop and set it right next to the thing. It's much more convenient.
Robust. Well, yeah, because there's a lot of interactivity, with the laser in Lightburn, like Jeremy was saying. You can jog the head and move it to places that are, on your work and all kinds of crazy things. So you lose a lot of functionality and a lot of time and a lot of efficiency by doing it, in another room or whatnot. It would be worth it at some point to get something close by, I think. And you can have multiple licenses, and you can use like an online, like Dropbox or something like that, to put all of your system files, your backup files for your device profiles and your artwork, and you can work on it from either, and it'll always stay synchronized and up to date. So you don't have an older version of one file on one computer and then you do on another, and that kind of thing when you switch back and forth sometimes. So.
Okay, thanks.
Keep in mind, Lightburn is also a very, very lightweight software. So what a lot of people do, and this is what I do myself, is I've got my primary design computer, which is a massive beast, and it runs Lightburn. It can connect to my laser, but it's, probably it's on the other side of my warehouse, or on my other side of the warehouse. And then you can run Lightburn with just like a $200 or $300 laptop. You don't have to get a full-blown computer, super extravagant or anything for Lightburn. It's very, very friendly on processor and RAM. So I mean, the $200 or $300 laptops will run it without a problem at all.
I think Jeremy's running one of those micro PCs or those dongles or
Yep.
something.
Yeah, I'm running one of the Lenovo Think Center. It's a M90N. I was just looking at that. Figured that would come up, but the one I bought was just shy of $600. It's got an i5 in it. It's got an integrated graphics card, 8 gigs, and a 512 gigabyte solid state drive with Windows 10 professional license and a mouse and keyboard for under $600. And I'm running this laser. I'm running a fiber, and I'm doing a bit of design on it. Slow it down. Most of the time, I've got a YouTube video running at the same time. It's a very capable machine for less than $600, and it's literally mounted to the wall behind the laser. So I'm not moving it back and forth. I do most of my design on a Mac, or my wife does a lot of the design on her MacBook, and then we just send it out there to the PC at the laser.
And if you keep an eye on the Dell outlet, a lot of people, they go to Dell with computers, but no one really looks at their outlet side. But if you look at their outlet side, you can score some really good deals. So my CNC router that I have, I've got, I think it's a 27-inch touchscreen all-in-one that's mounted to my CNC. And I think I only paid like $450, $500 for that thing after shipping out of the outlet center. So, and it's a pretty beefy computer. So, you don't have to spend a ton on a computer. Like I said, Lightburn is very, very friendly on computer software, or computer memory and stuff.
Yeah, I've been using, like on my CNC, they've gone to, it's a little mini square in the back, and it's sealed, and that's all, and you put it on a screen, and that's it. That's the computer. And actually, they're pretty cheap. They're only a couple $100. But you got to buy a screen and a couple other things. But
Yep.
All right, got 2 other questions left. I appreciate everybody's patience here.
That's fine. We're just glad to have someone prepared for this.
I was going to say he's already hit up about.
He's got a list in
about
notes.
20 minutes.
Well, somebody's got the real question they wanted answered. Jump in. I'll stop for now and come back later. I mean, I don't.
No, you got 40 more minutes. You got 40 more minutes to go.
Brian's going to invite you to host next week.
I'm just going to pause my screenshot and walk away for a little while. I'll just have a smile.
You really need a spare mirror set, or does it come with the unit? Something I read said it came with the unit, and then somewhere else I saw somebody recommended buying one when you bought it. So I didn't know what the story on that is.
They may be talking more about lenses. Usually get fouled a lot easier than mirrors. A lot of people do keep a spare set of optics. It's not a terrible idea. Mirrors, people don't go through as much as lenses. It may not hurt to have another lens though, because here's the other thing: if you're in the middle of a job and you crack, what?
Does the spare mirrors come with it? For some reason, I thought they were included in the toolbox.
No. Okay. Well, I don't know. I haven't gotten one in a while. Sometimes I've gotten things in my toolbox that were maybe unexpected, or I don't know.
I just got one that didn't come with any spare optic.
Okay. They didn't usually send them with any spare.
Yeah, but I've been running lasers for 5 years now, and I have never fried a mirror.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I haven't fried a lens yet. I'm doing good.
Yeah, and Travis isn't exactly running as recommended. He pushes his pretty hard.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just cut metal with mine. That's all.
Yeah, it probably does burn it up a little bit. Okay, the last $1 million question, and after that, y'all gonna have to step in. Webcam, is it worth it? Is it worth having the camera in the machine? That's the question.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. Just make sure you get the Lightburn camera. You can get it through Thunder. You'll probably right now you'll have a better chance probably ordering it through Thunder than you will through Lightburn. It's the same camera. Thunder gets it from Lightburn, but they've got a deal, so they get more of them than what goes out on the public side.
I don't know. We've got a standing order for everyone they can give us. So we're still fulfilling a few back orders on those, but we're getting real close.
But yes, it is definitely worth it.
Now, some people swear no, never, but it's the same thing with autofocus. A lot, especially the guys that have been around lasers a lot, that most autofocuses on most lasers, they suck. I mean, even on an Epilogue, even on a 40 grand machine, and people would disable them, like physically disable them. And I love the light curtain, the infrared sensor array on the bed of this Nova for a number of reasons. One of them is because how well it plays with the camera, so that you maintain your aspect ratio and makes your calibration of your camera remains where it needs to be by using autofocus. So
How hard is to set up the whole camera? I mean, I saw the thing of plugging it in and all that. I got that.
It's
it's easy. No,
Get it to
actually, I need to
useful.
talk about that for a minute. We've been setting people up. See, a couple of months back, we went to a different field of view lens on the camera bodies because we weren't able to get the other cameras, or Lightburn
Yeah, I
wasn't
saw
able to
that.
get the other ones. And when we changed, I've been using the 110 or whatever the presets are already there, 85 and 110, but now it's like 120 and 95 or something like that. And they are not the same. And I confirmed that with Jason the other night, and they are not the same. So on those but so many people are using the presets and it's coming out okay. I've only had a couple of instances. So we're going to have to use the dot pattern for a while until we can come up with, and we're going to try to do this with some people in a kind of constant setting if we can, and try to generate some values that we can actually publish so that we don't have to use the dots anymore.
Yeah, I think it's an 85 degree is what they're recommending for the 35. There's an
It
85
is.
and a 120.
Right. The 120 is for the Nova 51 and the Nova 63, and then the other one is for all the other smaller ones.
What's the
Okay.
problem they're running into, Brian? Is it jumping out, or is it once it's jumping out of calibration, or is it just a point they can't get it precisely calibrated?
No, well, most of the trouble that people have with cameras is they didn't use the autofocus when they did the first test, when they outputted and actually did the alignment, where it outputs the deal with the crosshairs and you have to go click them. But what these presets are for is the lens distortion. And we're finding that on the outside edges of the bed extents on those, if we're not using the correct lens presets, you can start getting off by a millimeter or so on the very outside edges because the distortion factors are not correct to make up for that lens, because that dot pattern or the presets are supposed to take care of any fisheye and any distortion in that particular lens so that it's accurate and to scale, and everything's right. So if you don't have the lens calibration right, nothing else will be right. So
yeah, I have noticed mine just by you saying that there. I have noticed that being off on the outer bounds.
Yeah. So we need to use the dots on the cameras until we get the profiles for the lens calibration, which I'm working on. I've got a decent set for the big camera for the 120. I got readings within like 0.31, which is barely what they say is great, I think, but I could probably shoot lower. So, and you don't have to do this with the camera and the laser. And what I'm thinking about setting up is a light box and putting that card in the bottom of the light box so that it's evenly lighted all the way around, and actually putting a camera on a tripod with some articulating arms and move the camera instead of the piece of paper and get some values down to like 0.01 or as low as I can get them, under those controlled circumstances. Because you don't have to, this has nothing to do with the laser. We can pull lens distortion values sitting in the chair, just holding the camera. So that's what I'm going to work on, is getting some calibrations for those lenses. Until then, it'll be a pain because I hate the dots. Everybody hates the dots. If you haven't done it, do it. Even if your camera's set up, just do it. It's fun.
See, I didn't mind the dots that much.
Wow.
But
It's odd because the honeycomb creates a moire effect, so the camera sees millions of circles instead of just the ones that are on the paper. So you have to cover the bed.
I always laid a sheet of plywood in there first and then did the dots.
Yeah, that's so you cover it up. But if you just lay the paper in there, and technically it doesn't matter. It's not meant to be laid in the bed anyway, because your camera may not be central. The idea is to get those dots in the right section of the screen and look the same, as far as perspective and scale go, and that kind of thing. And so that it's kind of confusing, and you bang your head on the concrete. I've cussed it quite a few times.
All right, I'm looking for that video. I can tell you that. I'm looking for that video right there.
The one of the dots?
Yeah, calibrate this stupid thing. It sounds a little confusing. Once you've done it, it may not be, but it sounds pretty confusing.
Well, you can always pop in for a 30-minute remote session and we can help you set it up. So,
I'm just gonna have Brian come over and do mine. I want you bang his head on the floor.
Yeah, well, you have to watch.
I'll videotape it for everybody.
There you go. That'd be the good video.
I'll have to remote in and do it, and I'll just bang my head on my own floor and record it, and that way you can have it. So, well, cool. Does anybody else have any questions?
We made up 25.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, Brian, I need you to send me that key for the Facebook live stream.
I'll do it right as we're talking. As soon as somebody else starts talking, rather.
So what projects is everyone working on?
Yeah, I've got a question, project related. I just got some Caesar HTV. Has anybody done kiss cut with that?
With Caesar HTV, that stuff you can laser. It is safe. I've done a lot of really intricate, like sail ship or sailboat, pirate ship type thing designs that have all the thin lines and all that kind of stuff. And basically, I've just gone through and burned away everything that doesn't want to be there. It does take a little bit to get it dialed in if you want to do that, because you just want to burn away the HTV without burning away the carrier sheet.
Transfer, yeah.
But yeah, it is doable, and it comes out extremely nice.
HTV, I have to look that up. I don't know what it is. So
Heat
It's
transfer vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it heat transfer vinyl. It technically doesn't have any vinyl in it, or it should not be run on laser if it did. But yeah, it's the heat treat. That's a common brand. I've tried it, but it's pretty hard to dial it in. I mean, you got to hold your mouth right. You got to have everything flat, and everything needs to be just right.
Yeah, the trick that I use is I have a nice piece of super flat plywood that I use, and I just put down some low tack double-sided thin tape, and I stick the sheet to that.
Okay.
So yeah, and it works really well because that way the air, because you do want your air assist on, and you want it on high, and that just helps hold the sheet in place so it's not blowing around in your laser bed and stuff.
Okay, thanks.
So, but you definitely do want to make sure that you're using either Caesar or specialty materials. Those are the only two that I have found that are PVC free.
Right,
So
that's what I'd read.
yeah, some of those off-brand Chinese ones are loaded with chloride in it.
Right.
Speaking of Chinese stuff, does anybody ever try to use the crate that came with the lasers to do anything with them at all?
I tried. I failed miserably. Throw it away.
24 crates.
Yeah.
There's one guy that made a couple of Nova 24 stands out of his.
No, I was talking about burning it or cutting it wise on the laser. I was wondering if anybody attempted it and how hard it was.
Yeah, I did it. It runs the black adhesive glue in it. It burns it cuts like crap. It engraves like crap. So I just threw it in my fire pit.
I was worried about, God only knowing, being Chinese, of how bad the glue was that they actually used.
I'm sure it's
and how toxic it was. What did I miss? Everybody's laughing at.
toxic glue.
Oh, toxic glue.
Yeah.
Somebody's showing us something here. Chris is showing us something. Go ahead, Chris.
He's muted.
Oh, he's showing green on my screen.
Yeah, he's showing green here too.
Yeah, we're not getting your voice.
He's double muted somehow.
Now he's muted. Now he's muted.
Does anybody read lips?
I think he's giving us all money.
Somebody said Baltic birch wasn't a good wood to cut in, but it's really flat.
So the problem with Baltic birch, so the thinner stuff's great. I cut a lot of 1/8, a lot of 1/4. Once you start getting a 1/2 inch or 3/4, you get so many plies and so many glue layers. You're fighting, right? It'll cut, but you'll do a lot more work than if you're cutting the equivalent, we'll say like a Pure Bond from Home Depot or something like that. That's less layers and we'll say less of a filler material.
So the trick with Baltic birch is what I've seen is most people in the U.S. are able to get what's called a B grade. A lot of places will call it an A grade, but it's really not. It is a B grade. So if you've got a wood supplier near you, make sure you can get an A grade, which is also called a cabinet grade Baltic birch, and it cuts like a dream. I mean, I cut my Baltic birch at 60% power at 50 millimeters a second. And
what size?
Huh?
What size or what thickness?
That's my 3. So stuff I get from Russia, and so it's a 3mm.
You're getting Russian Baltic birch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in Alaska, so it's a lot easier for me to get Russian than it is.
Yeah, he can walk to Russia at a certain time.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's the only.
Drag it
I
back.
get all my stuff from cabin supply places, but the only ones that I can get in 1/4 and 3/8 is Russian Baltic birch. I can get at my other cabinet place. I can get all the other in standard Baltic birch, but they don't ever have the thinner pieces. So it's only Russian that I found that comes in the thinner. That's
Yep.
getting hard to get. There's one place in Richmond that's got it, and they said that they weren't getting it.
All Baltic birch. I've got a huge lumber importer where I'm at, and they're struggling to get Baltic birch. They actually started bringing in a lot of white birch, but yeah, there's a lot of issues with supply chain actually importing true Baltic birch.
Well, if anyone needs some, I'll sell them some sheets. I buy it by the pallet, so I'm down to about a 1/4 pallet of Baltic birch 3mm.
Do we get that free shipping to the East Coast?
Huh?
We get the free shipping to the East Coast?
Yeah. The price per sheet goes
It's
up
gonna be a lot
a
higher
lot.
per sheet, but yeah, I'll give you free shipping.
He'll personally bring it to us.
Yeah.
Travis, on that, are you getting the 5x5 or can you get it in 4x8s?
No, coming out of Russia, it's always 5x5 because they do everything metric over there.
Yeah, and I've found 5x5 and 4x8s, but that's the one drawback to the 51 over the 63 is you can't stick the 5 in without cutting it down.
Yep, that's exactly why I went with the 63 is because all I could get was 5x5s.
How bad's the price coming out of Russia?
So I'm down at per 5x5 sheet on 3mm. I'm at about 1150, 1160 a sheet.
3mm is
1/8 inch.
Yeah, 1/8 inch.
that's hard for me to find. I can't find 1/8 inch, but I can find the 1/4 and the 3/8.
Yep. Yeah, no, I know that I can honestly, I can get it a lot cheaper than most people, but I'm also, like I said, I'm buying a pallet at a time, so I get a nice big bulk discount on it. But I think down in the lower 48, I want to say they've been running between $15, $16 per 5x5 sheet.
Yeah, well, I think we're up to 20 for coming out of Port Angeles in Washington. So,
ouch.
Yeah.
I bought a load of it in Houston last week, and it was 25 a sheet. But what I found is a lot of people are out of it, so they're raising prices.
Oh, Travis, sounds like yours went to $25 a sheet, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, because I've got that, and I've got probably, I think I have about 10 cases of 12x24 sheets pre-cut, and then I've got a bunch of 12x12s and 10x10s that are all pre-cut. So yeah, if anyone needs some, I have no problem. I can sell some.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? Even at $25 for a 5x5 sheet, you can still cut it up and sell it to the Glowforge crowd cheaper than most and still make plenty of money. It's ridiculous what people sell it for.
Yeah, it's still a lot cheaper than Woodcrafters, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
They proud of it.
Travis, I sent you that server URL and the key. Okay, cool.
Yep.
No porn. We'll get in trouble.
Come
Only
on.
wood porn, laser porn.
Laser porn. Yeah, that definitely. So.
Yeah. So talking of materials, anyone got good supply chain for metal?
I have my local supplier, but it's not going to help you at all. Yeah, your best bet for that is just find one of your local suppliers for metal. So up here we use Alaska Steel and Greer Tank. There's also another company that's a national chain called the Metal Warehouse, which is a national chain. They tend to be a little bit more expensive up here, though.
I'm able to find steel and aluminum, but when you start looking into brass, copper outside of like electrical bus bar, right? And if you're looking for thinner sheets of copper or starting to get anything more exotic, is tough to find.
This is how my brass comes. I buy brass billets.
Yep.
So,
All right,
which,
cool.
by the way, if Thunder ever decides to finally actually release their fiber that they keep talking about,
what I found is you can buy another one, make your money back on it, and almost make enough to buy a Thunder before they release it.
yeah, right now I run these on my CNC router, but these are really popular. We sell these for about $350 once they're done up. But we do these for businesses that have new sidewalks going in, and we cut them out of brass billet and put their company information and what year the sidewalk was poured, and then we inset into the wet concrete on the sidewalks. And it's been really popular.
That'd be a good theft deterrent too. You just chunk it at somebody's head, but 350 is a little steep for something like that. It looks like it's pretty hefty.
Yeah, but businesses, when they want to, especially these, we've got a bunch of new hotels and stuff going in around us, and they all want to leave their mark. I'm like, that's the best way to do it. Don't
That's
write
cool.
your name in it. Just make you a little emblem to go in there.
Brass is better. If you made it out of copper, they might prime out and go melt. So,
Yeah.
that's what they do around here, man. They climb the radio towers, they climb the antenna towers and stuff, and go into houses that are being built and they'll take the AC and all the wires and everything out, get in the copper.
Yeah, a power company found a guy trying to steal it out of a live transformer one time here. He didn't get real far. He actually stole some nice, ratchet, cable cutters and stuff from someone, and he was in there right when he cut into it. He didn't move real far after that.
Imagine. So maybe up in smoke.
Yeah, you would think a live transformer is enough of a theft deterrent, but apparently not.
Well,
and when you go look at them, the pad-mounted transformer's got a nice proper lock on it. He had to go cut the lock, actually unbolt it, open it to go try to steal. And you're not getting much cable, right? A couple of feet of cable, but he was trying.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's the way it goes. So, on the fiber, yeah, go ahead. Hey, man.
No, I've been trying to get my audio up.
So, yeah, we can hear you. How you?
Not too bad. Still in. Hopefully by next week be out of here.
Yeah.
Get back
That's
to business.
Good. Right. So, you still got the minions churning out rotaries, though, huh?
Absolutely.
So,
going out as fast as we can make them. So.
Yeah, you got to get the metal ones out, Jason. I'm seeing way too much about these pie burns.
Yeah, then they'll be dealt with.
yeah, they're coming. I can't wait.
Perfect timing.
So, yeah,
the metal ones are supposed to be out in January, but with stuff with COVID and all that last year, it set things back for me a little bit. But
what'd you say?
October
like October
1st, they're going to be released.
Yeah.
October 1st, they're going to be released.
So
and then
Jason, I got a new project for you to work on that I could definitely use. I'd love a rotary that had some drive shafts on it, so I could load up like 2 or 3 tumblers at a shot on the stupid thing. And so I'm not just running 1 tumbler at a time.
That can definitely be done.
Oh, let me know when it's ready. I'll buy one. So I've got a 63, so go as wide as you want on that.
Yeah, then just
should be able to use
fill all groups at once, or you'll end up taking more time if you fill all at once.
Yeah. No. If I could get 2 or 3 tumblers loaded at a shot, that would be awesome.
I think it'd be cool to take a mini 60 or something, and cut the bottom out of it, and make a rotating rotary. Like a Gatling gun. Like as it spins and it does its thing, it pops out one. You slide a few more in there, and you just let it go. That would be cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
There were some people working
Jason working with Jeremy on his new fiber rotary jig. Jeremy Jones.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that stuff. I got to learn how to work it first. I finally got my scheduled session with Zach. That's
Did you? I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so we've got it scheduled for September 1st. So as soon as I get up to par on it, I'm gonna start popping out some videos and some articles that have some work, that I've done and messed up on, and hopefully other people can use that as a starting point, not have to have so much Tylenol.
And you've got the 20.
I've got the 20. Mm-hmm.
Well, if I could get hold of one of those, I could probably get a rotary to work with that thing too.
Yeah, well, they've got one already. They're just waiting because of the safety interlock thing. They're working out some kinks on that because it's got
Yeah, but is it chuck or is it?
It's enclosed, but the rotary will have to be used with the doors up. So they're working on ways to mitigate that. So you can turn the
That's what I'm
interlock
saying,
seating off, but
are they
they
using a
want.
chuck or are they using a roller?
Yeah, it's a chuck.
No,
So I
that's
mean,
kind of
yeah, I'm sure we could get a rotary to work in it too. Just a couple
yeah.
wires in the motor, man. So we'll get it.
All it is.
Yeah. So.
Hey Brian, how often do you talk to the Lightburn guy?
Every so often. Not sometimes not so much about business as just about other things, but every so often I'm in the beta thing, so I collaborate with some of them and Jason a bit there. Wow, what you got?
So something, because I love Lightburn to death, and what I'd absolutely love is if he would adapt that. I mean, since he's already running G code and everything for the back end, I'd love to see that for my CNC machine.
He's working on it.
Is he good?
And vinyl cutters and fiber and some other stuff.
Okay, yeah, except I run Aspire right now for my CNC, and it's not bad, but it's expensive. I mean, every time you upgrade, it's $500-600.
Problem I have is, trying to learn EasyCAD. I've got Lightburn. I've run Carbide Create on Shapeoko. I played with Vectrix VCarve, right? And all of the programs have their little nuances, and I'm sitting there trying to do something in one program using some of the hotkeys, and it's not in that program because I wasn't in Lightburn or I wasn't in, this particular program. It'd be nice to have a catch-all that, did the bare minimum for everything, right? Obviously, each program, and as you spend more money, you're going to get more features and stuff. But I just hate that each one has its own, we'll say, dedicated program.
Yep. Yeah, Aspire's not bad. I like it, but it's like, I think it was what, $2,000-2,500 for the software. It's just insane.
Yeah, well, that's like FlexiSign. That'll cost you $1,200 if you get it outright.
What is that?
The FlexiSign Pro.
Oh, it's more than that.
Yeah, $1,200, I think.
No, it's more than that. It's about
$5. Is it more? Is it?
Yeah, because I
got probably
FlexiSign.
I probably got about 10 grand worth of software on my computers.
Yeah, and then people hollering because Lightburn went up $40.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I can't tell you how many times, because for like my
embroidery
printers, I would go and drop $1,000-1,500 on a new rip for my DTG printer, and then all of a sudden I get into it and it's like, this thing sucks, and you can't do anything. You're just stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like my embroidery software. I mean, that was almost $5,000 just to run an embroidery machine.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're running Wilcom?
Yeah, Wilcom.
Yep. Yeah, I got away from Wilcom. I have a Wilcom EC3. But yeah, we switched away from that and went to Melco Design Shop.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I've already got the money tied into it. So it's like Photograve. I bought $400 Photograve, and I could do all the same things that it does with Corel or anything else. It's just like a library of files is all it is. And you can kind of do your own macros, record them and save them, and use them again.
Yeah, that's all Sean was doing with his the wood script or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
He was just recording macros and selling them.
The thing about that is, for some people, even like me, I can't do a photo. So if I have a one-touch option, kind of like you do when you go, I'd rather go buy a file on Etsy than design one myself. So for some people, it's more about getting it done than how you get it. You know,
Even
you know what I mean?
even photograve is not a one-touch option because
No,
I
that's
mean, yeah,
true.
it's got templates for
Yeah,
maple and oak and all
yeah,
that stuff, but it doesn't take into account the type of wood that you're particularly using, the density, the type of laser, the power, I mean,
yeah.
all that stuff.
They
It's
should
just a
have added
generic
thunder
script.
in that. We gave photograph all of the information that they
Oh, did
needed to
they?
be able to add thunder in there. I don't know if it's in there yet. I
Yeah,
haven't
I don't
seen a
know.
new version. My version's really old, old,
I
and
never
for
even know
educational use only.
Yeah, honestly, the Lightburn,
So what
you
are
know,
most
he's
people
done an
using
amazing
it?
job with
If you,
Lightburn on getting it so it handles photos really well. I mean, 90% of the
It's
time,
awesome, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
90% of the time it works great.
Yeah, light burn's all you need, really.
the
So,
other stuff that I can do on Lightburn that I can't even do on Corel, or it's a lot easier on Lightburn rather.
yeah,
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 the new release has some cool features. I'm really liking the intelligent arrays and stuff. You know, that helps if you do a lot of arrays, especially if you're doing arrays to make into designs rather than just
hmm
duplicating something. But if you're
yeah,
I
yeah,
think Robert actually had a video on making like abstract designs using like circular arrays and stuff like that. The new feature's quite nice for that because you can go update one little bit and tweak it and see how it affects your whole design.
yeah. That is pretty neat. And then also it's got the Boolean assistance,
Boolean
so you can,
preview, yeah.
yeah, where it'll show you exactly what's going to happen. That's a big thing to make sure you got everything right. So
yeah.
there's always stuff.
One
There's
other thing
pictures.
that's really nice, if people are using Corel, this is it's a Russian-based software, but I can tell you, I don't know what I'd do without it. When I'm running my big gang sheets, especially around Christmas time when we start pumping out hundreds and hundreds of Christmas ornaments, I have a software or a plugin for Corel called eCut, and its nesting feature is probably the best nesting feature I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah,
Because
it knows.
Oh
I've tried
Have
that
you
Nest.io or whatever, a
Deep
deep
Nest
nest,
IO?
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Deep
But
Nest does okay, but eCut is like, it's insane. I mean, it knows,
really,
yeah,
and see,
it
there's
can
a Corel
tell.
plugin for Lightburn too. So theoretically, that could be pretty powerful if you design in
Yep,
Corel and nest it, and then just hit a button and it's open in Lightburn and let it run.
yeah. I mean,
What's it called, Travis?
it's called eCut. I think they're on eCut 6 right now.
I've been using that for years. Not that tool, but some of his other tools, and they're pretty robust.
yeah, Corel is so universal. I mean, I use it for everything that I do. 3D designs, CADs to assist with CAD and things like that.
Here, I'm putting the
Embroidery,
link to the
sublimation,
software
everything.
in the chat.
Okay.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's not very expensive. If I remember correctly, let's see what their current price is. I think they're only, yes, it's 60
$60.
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So
4 licenses for 180.
yeah, and it's actually, it does a lot more than just nesting. I mean,
That's a
it's
whole
insanely
design
powerful.
suite of tools. It looks like maybe even some. That looks like a vinyl cutter blade holder in their
Yeah.
logo.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what it's actually designed for is vinyl cutting, but it's
Right.
like on their
Same
nesting,
thing.
it's smart, so it knows.
hmm
Like if it's a frame, say you're doing a rectangle frame, it knows that it can actually put other pieces in the middle of that to cut out. So it's really cool.
Nice. That's good.
Tell you something I come across recently that it's a beta program they were doing out of a university in Germany called Cube, KYUB, and it started as like a project on laser cutting and more design software for using like finger joints and strength around them. So instead of cutting large one-offs, they end up making stuff in almost like a Minecraft or a Lego style. They make lots of blocks that fit together. And looking at that it's quite neat what they do with. I mean, the dude's made tables and chairs out of 1/8-inch Baltic birch, finger jointed, and he's sitting on them and bouncing on them. Some of the videos, the strength is just there because it's got a full like a FEA, like a finite element analysis aspect into it, where it will go in and determine your weak points and how they're going to break, and it's quite powerful. I've talked to the guy because they had an open beta for people testing it and stuff, and that's closed at the moment. They're looking to roll out their schools and university program by the end of this year, and then open it back up to the public next year. They had COVID challenges.
I'm scrolling through it a little bit. I see one of those tables and
Yeah,
some other things.
Brian, will you throw that link in chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's neat. And you watch the videos that he made. He made a wheelbarrow out of 1/8" stuff, and he loads it up, right? And the first thing that happened was the handles, snapped off when he lifted on them. And then he goes in, runs it through his analysis software, and it just made some very simple mechanical changes. And then he lifts it up and rolls it around as a wheelbarrow.
Nice.
It's neat.
That's really cool.
Very good.
Hey guys, I got to run, but I want to thank everybody for their input for my questions. Thanks for your help.
Sure, absolutely. Have a good rest of the day.
Yep. And then one other thing I found recently for, we'll say the photo challenged people. But if you're looking for a Photoshop style program and you're not ready to jump into Adobe's monthly price commitment, there's a free version that I'm surprised they're not being sued. It's a direct knockoff to Photoshop. I'm talking about the same icons, everything. It works the same. There's people that have done training on it. It looks like the guy that developed Photoshop went and started his own company. But it's called Photopea, Photopea. The only difference between it and is it's online only. But I mean, it is. It's a direct knockoff of Photoshop. If you didn't look at the top, you wouldn't know it wasn't Photoshop.
Oh wow!
And it works. Playing with it, you can watch Photoshop tutorial on how to do something and go do it on there, and it's step by step, click by click, identical, and it's free.
Some of those you want to be careful with, though. A lot of the online-based softwares, if you actually read the terms and conditions, what they do
they own your designs.
Exactly, they own your design, and they can turn around and start selling it and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and that's the same with most of your online emails. So Yahoo, Gmail, and stuff. You send a file through Gmail, Google owns that information. Yep. So it's the same for a lot of that type of stuff. That's how they're able to do things free and offer services like that. Another one that's actually more scary that I learned recently is if you're looking at like IP security cameras. Mm-hmm. So the U cameras that they sell on Amazon that are like the number one, they're like $25 for this high-end camera. It says in the terms and conditions they can record and keep whatever, mine it for data, whatever, sell it, do whatever they want. They own the content that goes to their cloud.
Yep.
Which is a bit scary.
Yep. So, well, and really quick, so I think next week is when I'm going to be running that thing, the quick little tutorial. I shouldn't say quick little. It'll probably be 45 minutes or so. Teach everyone how to get set up to get your laser running for profit. Show you guys how to make about at least $100 an hour running your laser. And I'll teach you guys how to get your clients for doing that and all that stuff. Super simple. If you already have the laser, the most expensive parts out of the way. So yeah, it's nothing too exciting, but we'll be doing it's dealing with slate coasters, engraving them, and how to actually sell them for money. Because I usually sell slate coasters by the 4-pack, and I get $40 per 4-pack out of them.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. So what you're going to do is give us a nice long tutorial and say, all you've got to do is pay me this much money a month.
So I haven't started that yet, but I am starting up a training series that at least to start off, it's going to be completely free, all that stuff. We haven't decided if we're going to turn it subscription based. There will be some additional training that you can pay for and also get certified for lasers. All that kind of stuff, and that way you'll actually be able to have a certification mark that if you want to engrave on stuff, you can. But yeah, so there will be some paid for stuff, but we'll be doing a ton of free training off of it.
Didn't you have a book he was working on?
The book's done. Brian's actually read it. And yeah, right about the time we were getting ready to roll it out, we ended up moving our shop, and things have just been insane ever since.
Is it on Audible at least?
Huh?
Is it on Audible?
No, I didn't get into any of that. It's just a PDF ebook. The only thing I still have to do is load the pictures into it. But Brian read it. Well, I think he did.
He just went dark all of a sudden.
He looked at the pictures.
I looked at the
real quick.
You nailed it. You nailed it that time.
When are you doing this class?
I'm going to shoot for sometime next week. I've got to look at my schedule. I know that I've got a couple vehicle wraps going on next week. So chances are it'll either be Wednesday or Friday of next week. But I'll post all the details in the laser group probably on Monday.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, one thing to think about. So I know Brian mentioned you're setting up one of the training sessions with Zach. Fiber laser training and support information is very much lacking and very much held closely, especially around firearms training. I know San Antonio Laser Engraving Sale, they have really expensive machines, but with each one of their machine purchases, they include a 5-day training. You come to their facility, you train on the laser you're taking home with you. And I've talked to a few people that did that. They said, it doesn't matter. They buy the laser just to get the training, right? Because they only sold it with their machines. And I think recently during COVID, they looked into selling some of the training specifically and virtualizing it, but I don't know where it ever ended up. But yeah, there's a lot of we'll say squirreled away knowledge that nobody's willing to share. So there's probably a good market for making more of that public.
Yeah, and we're actually in the process. I'm still waiting for Thunder's fiber to come out, but we are ordering a different fiber as well, just so we can kind of get a jump start on things. But we will be going through all of that. We'll be doing a whole bunch of stuff on firearm reworking. The biggest thing with firearms is if you think you might get into it at some point, start your FFL license, because they are about 9 to 12 months out to get. You have to have a Class 7 FFL.
Yep.
And it's almost a year to get it right now.
Jeremy, didn't you have a guy that you quoted or cited that did some training? Could you refresh my memory on that?
FFL123.com, a guy called Brian Maddox.
That's who I went through also.
He's awesome. Yep. Yeah, he's got like 150% money back guarantee. If you qualify, i.e. you're not a felon, if you can be approved, he guarantees that you follow it, he'll get you approved. He employs, retired ATF agents to help with the process. He's a real good dude. And his program isn't just getting the license, but there's tons of support on networking, getting firearms, getting credit card processing, because a lot of industries are anti-gun, right?
Right. That's a good resource. I'm going to add that to that one document that I have so far on compliance and and that stuff.
Yeah, and that's the same course I went through for my FFL is that FFL 123, and it was super simple to follow along. Tons of knowledge. My only recommendation is I thought, that's going to be a piece of cake, and I sat there and I tried to watch all the videos in like a day or two. Don't do that. Spend just like an hour a day watching the videos. Otherwise, you will get just completely overloaded.
And one of the biggest issues on your FFL, you get one shot at doing it right. If you get rejected, anytime you apply again, there's a question, have you ever been rejected and why? If you've ever been rejected, they throw you at the bottom of the pile. If you miss your one shot, you almost certainly will never get it.
Yep. One of the other things, we did this, and it was actually, I'm really glad that we did. If you call the ATF, they will actually come out and do a free pre-Ffl inspection that doesn't go on your thing, and they allot like about an hour and a half or so, and they'll sit down with you. You can ask them all the questions. They tell you what you need to do. You can show them around, and they tell you exactly, all right, so in your scenario, this is what you need to do to get your FFL.
Yeah, this is a concern, go fix this, or don't do that, and yeah.
So before you even put in your application for an FFL, get a hold of your local ATF and have them, come do a site inspection and, just sit down and talk to them. It's good to know your local guys anyways, because they're going to be coming in every year or two and doing surprise inspections on you.
Yeah. And then the other thing is if you're doing it, commercially, in a commercial or retail space, or if you're doing it from home, right? So FFL 123 is, a lot of, at home, with that they call it the eBay model, but buying and selling via gun broker, right? There's a lot of people get tripped up in HOA, right? Covenants in the neighborhood, city, state, municipal, township, the local rules that will have some 200-year-old rule on the books that you didn't look into, and it creates red tape in the process. So it walks you through all of that, and where and how, gives you examples of letters that you write to your HOA to get a written approval ahead of time, things like that. So it's wealth of resources. He's done enough of them. He's ran into all sorts of weird problems.
Yep, and keep in mind, you don't have to wait for a fiber laser to get into gun work. We do gun work now. We just do them on wood stocks, and we do a lot of engraving on that kind of stuff. And we're charging anywhere from $300 to $400 an hour for laser work on wood gun stocks.
And another thing is you only need an FFL if you work on the bit that is classified as the firearm, the serialized bit.
Yep.
So for Glocks, for example, the slides, the barrels and stuff, right? The actual slide back plates, base plates of your magazines, right? You can buy those offline. Yeah, that's not a gun, right? So
if you have these parts, you're okay. You don't need an FFL. But if you've got the top piece where the actual serial number is, the actual
firearm as it's classified,
then you do have to have it.
Yep. And different guns are different, right? So for example, a Glock, right? The gun is the plastic frame, not the barrel in the slide. In AR-15, the lower is the serialized bit, right? On a traditional hunting rifle, the barrel, the receiver, the bolt is the serialized, regulated bit, and not the wooden stock. So you need to know a bit about what you're doing. But magazines, right? PMags are awesome. There's all kinds of fun political stuff you can put on PMags. There's prison bars there for people and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yep. And if you live in a state that allows silencers, when you apply for your FFL, put in for your OUA rider at the same time. It'll go through a lot easier.
Yeah.
So that's what you'll have to have an FFL class 7 with the OUA rider to engrave on a silencer.
Yep. Sweet. That's good stuff.
If you go in through the work, get as much as what you can in the process, right? That 9 to 12 months. If you think that you're going to do, anything, because there's just like everything else, right? There's 15 different variations of what you need, right? Get the most bang for your buck in the timing, because you don't want to realize, oh, I should have got this additional bit and have to go back and wait another 9 to 12 months.
What sort of cost are we talking about getting this type of FFL?
They aren't expensive. They're about $300.
A few $100. Yeah.
Not bad.
So the things that can get expensive, so the
State
government
Department.
FFL, so you've got your stuff that you have to have to be able to keep on-site guns. Plus your business insurance. Once you add guns onto your business insurance, that can definitely change a few things. So I've got it all rolled into my policy. We're way over insured, but it's because of a lot of the work that we do. But yeah, I think the gun section of our insurance, I want to say, runs another like $300-400 a year, just to cover the guns. Because don't think that the guns will automatically be covered by your normal business insurance. It won't be.
No, and the other thing is if you are associated with firearms, right there, credit card payment processing, right? There's certain that won't work with you if you have anything to do with guns, right? Amazon, eBay, you know, there's a lot of anti-firearms that it just won't deal with you. So if you're going to be setting up a business, right, I'd recommend is setting up a separate LLC or a separate doing business as trade name, so it's not tied to your main business in case you see any of the negative effects, right? You know, you could have Blue Moose Designs for your business and then Blue Moose Firearms over here and Blue Moose T-shirts over there or whatever it may be. Just because, you know, not everyone is pro-gun, right? And, that's the world of business, is they don't have to do business with you if they don't want to, right? They can write it into their rules. They don't have to offer their service. One other thing that in terms of manufacturing firearms, so if you get the manufacturing, so if you want to go modify guns, manufacture them, saw barrels off, you know, make your own custom receivers from, you know, 80% blowers, stuff like that. The one bit that is a bit questionable, but it's risk, right, is there's a requirement to register with the Department of State, right? And that is, I think, $2,100 a year or something. Now, a lot of people will tell you they've never prosecuted anyone for not having it, right? But it doesn't, just because nobody's ever been caught doesn't mean it's not there, right? So that's up to you and your lawyers and whoever to go figure out, right? Just because you've never been pulled over for speeding doesn't mean it's not illegal and you won't get pulled over and get a ticket one day. And, that is depends on the administration as well as to, you know, who may be pushing and going and trying to shut down, you know, FFLs who aren't following the rules.
Yeah.
Don't give them the easy target.
Yeah, and the FFL, it's really kind of interesting how you have to run it, because once you accept a gun, you know, you have to actually basically fill out an online form, to accept the gun, and then when you go to give that client back, you have to run a background check on them and make sure that they clear the system to give them their gun back. Yeah, and you've got to keep all your logs for all of that. So I mean, it is quite a bit of work to do that, but you know, you're charging a ton per hour to do it, and if you need to, you can charge transfer fees, all that. There's not a lot of people that do gun engraving right now, especially up in our area. I'm the only one in our area that does it. So, you know, we have contracts with a lot of the sporting goods stores. So when they go and sell a gun, they offer that service, and it comes straight to me, gets engraved before it gets delivered to the customer.
When you say your area, that may be a little different than what most people think of, because couldn't that be like 10,000 square miles?
Yeah, and there's 3 people.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm down here on the Gulf Coast, right? I'm 30 minutes outside of Mobile, Alabama. I talked to a gun shop owner actually this morning, and you know, he's going well out of town here from, you know, outside of Mobile into Oklahoma to get services, you know, from gun engraving to Cerakoting and stuff like that. Just so talk with him about some stuff that I can help him with.
Yeah, gun engraving is not as people are catching on that it can be done, but you know, if you want to get into it, what I recommend everyone do is their first stop needs to be the police department of your local city, because almost every single officer, or at least every department that I've ever seen, the gun that is issued to the police officer, when they retire, they get to keep that gun. That's part of the retirement package. And so a lot of them, what they'll do is they want custom stippling on the grip to make it their gun. And that's probably one of the top things that is just, I mean, you know, you can easily charge, you know, $400 or $500 for custom stippling on a gun. It doesn't take very long to do, especially if you have a fiber, which I don't yet, Brian. And,
we're working on it.
I'm ready. The other thing about that too is, you know, from a police department point of view, a lot of law enforcement uses Glocks, right? Whether you like them or not, Glocks are very common. Glocks are one of the easiest ones to stipple. Their polymer makeup is good. There's plenty of set. Go melt a SIG. SIG's a lot more money and a lot harder to stipple, right? There's tons of people posting the results on laser stippling SIGs, and they've got a $1,000 melted chunk of plastic, right? It's It's yeah, Glocks are easy. Smith and Wessons are trickier. There's different ones, but fortunately, Glocks are very common. They're we'll say more closer to the bottom end of the firearm price range, compared to some of the Kimbers and the higher end stuff, right? And they're easy to do.
Right. Well, I'm gonna have to jump off here, guys. I've got another session I got to join and help this lady out. So I guess I'll jump off. If y'all want to keep talking, Travis, I could make you presenter, and I'll go. If y'all want to still jaw about it.
I'm gonna jump off too. I've got a wine box I've got to get finished up and out the door today.
Gotcha.
You got to quit drinking that box wine, Travis.
Well, no.
I got one super quick question. If somebody wants to see
go for it, man.
So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm getting ready to declamp it. And the wine just slides in from the back, and then there's plates that slide in from the back as well.
Nice. What you got, Tom?
Corian, yes or no?
I think I've heard of that.
I think Corian
is nasty stuff to engrave. It's all epoxy filled.
It is, okay.
Yep.
Too bad. I got 100 pieces of it somebody wants to give me.
Well, what you can do is we do a lot of
take it, just don't use it on the laser.
Yeah. So we do a lot of granite stuff, and we get all of our granite from for free from the local granite shops, like the sink cutouts that they do when they have no use for that.
I actually got a bunch of that first. My buddy bought a shop that used to be a cabinet company, so he bought the warehouse, and the guy, they just crushed I don't know how much stone, probably about an acre lot full of stone. But there's the shipping container with probably about 100 pieces between 2x2 and 4x4. So I was just looking. He said, "You want it? You got it." You just gotta get it.
If you can find it, it's harder to come by. But they have what's called the 1cm granite, which is commonly used in shower stalls and that kind of stuff. And that's my favorite to engrave because it's lightweight enough that I can make cutting boards out of it and stuff and not have to worry about it weighing 80 pounds.
Yeah.
But it's still strong enough to hold up for a cutting board. We do a lot of 1cm. We finally figured out how to engrave light colored granite to make it look nice. We're engraving light colored granite as well, and then we're just going back in and staining out what we actually engraved out.
Yeah. I got a whole variety of colors of granite when it was still there, but they had to get rid of it quick, and everything that was left was like slabs that I would have needed a payloader to get it out of there. So yeah, I'm fishing for the smaller pieces. I got a lot of sink cutouts. Those work good.
Cool. All right,
cool.
guys.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
I guess we'll see you guys next week. Have a good.
Have a good
All
night,
right,
guys.
thanks, guys.